All right, Ian. We have an update. On the project known as Cyberpunk 2077, and the company with project in its name, CD Projekt Red. So it was being alluded to last week due to the disastrous. Can you say it was disastrous? I think you can. Launch of this game, especially on the base.
No, you can definitely say it's disastrous.
Basically, the disastrous launch on anything that wasn't a PC or PS5 or Xbox One Series X. So a chunk of the launch of this game was buggy, games crashing, looking like a PS3 game to a lot of people, just not suitable for release, and that's damaged the company's rep, and obviously hurt sales. We have Sony saying, yeah, we'll refund anyone who doesn't like this game. Retailers like Best Buy saying, yeah, we'll refund you even if you bought a physical game, which you never hear of before.
No.
Of an open game that you can return because you hate the quality of the game. And even Microsoft was giving it. So basically, the company is not doing well from a PR standpoint, and obviously this has probably hurt their sales a lot in terms of returns, and people, I'd stay away. I would stay away from this until this game was ready to be played in a functional form. So because of that, the investors and stockholders are suing the company officially.
Yeah, the lawsuit is filed, but courts may not let it proceed. A New York-based law firm has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of investors in CD Projekt SA by Rosenfurt Law Firm is for damages to those who purchased securities in CD Projekt between January 16th, 2020 and December 17th, 2020, based on statements made by those associated with Cyberpunk 2077's development. So its progress, I'm assuming this refers to its ability to run on, last generation hardware, stuff like that.
Yes. So they're gonna allege. I did look at the lawsuit, but yes, basically during the development, the heads of CD Projekt Red are saying, yeah, this is running fine on PS4 and Xbox One. So, which is obviously false, because it's not. So if I'm an investor putting in my money based upon that, it's now to me a fraudulent investment, because it's not even misleading. You're lying about the status of your product, and now I just put all this money in, like you just fucked me over. So this is what the base of the lawsuit is. We'll see how it proceeds here. The suit alleges that false or misleading statements were made about Cyberpunk 2077 being playable on the current gen. The removal of it from PlayStation Store and the offer of refunds by Sony, Microsoft, and CD Projekt Red itself are widely cited in business circles as a reason for a plunge in CD Projekt's stock price despite its high sales numbers. In the weeks prior to Cyberpunk's 2077 release, CD Projekt's CEO said that the game ran surprisingly well on the PS4 and Xbox One. Not just that it ran, surprisingly well.
Yeah.
We have different definitions of well. I guess.
Or surprising.
In order for this was filed in U.S. courts. In order to proceed, the court must certify the class, indicating that this is a large group of people with similar claims who are eligible for a lawsuit. Rosen Law Firm is an international law firm who concentrates solely on class action suits against businesses on behalf of shareholders. And this comes from PC Gamer, who's summarizing this for me. Per the law firm's press release, this is their logic for the suit. 1. Cyberpunk 2077 was virtually unplayable on the current gen systems due to an enormous number of bugs. 2, as a result, Sony would remove Cyberpunk from the store, and Sony and everyone else would offer refunds. 3, consequently, CD Projekt would suffer reputational and pecuniary harm. Not familiar with that word. And 4, as a result, defendant statements about its business operations and prospects were materially false and misleading, and or lacked a reasonable basis at all relevant times. When the true details entered the market, the lawsuit claims that investors suffered damages, which obviously they have. The stock prices went down. So we'll see what happens here. If they certify this goes forward, I don't see in court how either a judge or a jury would look at this and be like, oh no, I think CD Projekt Red, they said it absolutely true things. They weren't false at all. Like this would be nuts if they would rule against the plaintiffs here.
Let me slide into a real quick episode of CU Vocabulary. Pecuniary is an adjective, formal, relating to or consisting of money. Example sentence: he admitted obtaining a pecuniary advantage by deception.
I'm on a spelling bee right now. They wanted me in spelling bees as a kid. I was too shy to do spelling bees.
That's your CU vocabulary.
Yeah, we haven't seen this before. Again, like we haven't seen this. This would be like. Yeah, imagine if Rockstar came out with GTA 5 and then it just didn't run on a PS3. And then they offered returns And then Best Buy said, "This is nuts."
Other than a newsy update, I don't have a whole lot to add to this, but I mean, I can echo
You
some of
have
the
another
things.
update?
No, other than that update, I don't have a whole lot to add, other than to echo some of the things I think I probably said in the previous weeks, and that is I'm very interested in a year or 2 years from now to see what the shockwaves are from the launch of this game, because I see a lot of people out there optimistically hoping that this is going to have long-lasting effects on how games are developed and how they're released. And I would love to see that, but this happened in 2020, a year that everyone is going to be quick to forget about, a year where the churn...
We're going to forget about this year?
We want to forget about it.
Oh, we want to.
Yeah, we want to be quick to forget about it. And where there's a churn of news like we haven't seen before. Like we see it in politics, but we see it in everything now. News just churns, and every time something enters the news cycle, it's big for a few days, and it just gets shoved back. It gets thrown back out once fresh news comes in. And this has been talked about before. I do think that Cyberpunk's release is uniquely bad in some respects, but it's not like it's the first bad game release we've seen. Fallout 76 was a disaster when it released. No Man's Sky got shit forever when it was released. And these are all things that have mostly...
Well, you can play No Man's Sky when it came out.
You can't. You could. I'm just saying, I don't necessarily have faith in the gaming sphere's attention span to hold on to this for any worthwhile length of time.
But the industry will, because Sony's pissed at this, obviously.
That's where I have some hope, is that, yes, it has actually affected industry players, and it has created at least some bad blood between CD Projekt and Sony.
And probably Microsoft. I mean, because this is we want to give back refunds to people. Like, you're costing us money, too.
Microsoft doesn't want to, but Microsoft didn't have to go out of their way. I mean, they already had a system in place. I'm not saying that Microsoft is okay with it.
No.
I'm just saying that Microsoft is inconvenienced less.
This is like when you see like those mafia movies and you have the heads of the family and you got the one guy, the one family acting up. We put him down because you're now getting attention on all of us.
Right.
That's how this is being looked at. This is when this makes major news. This is what's bad for business. This is bad. This is the worst thing that can be bad for business. Coming out with a game that doesn't work is the worst thing that could happen here. So now, but this is going to stay in our public eye, because if this lawsuit goes forward, everyone's getting deposed. All the heads of CD Projekt Red, all the employees, they're going to be like, well, when you're working at this company back in, say, May of 2020 or July, did you think this was going to be ready for launch or not? And they'll be like, no, we didn't think it was ready, obviously, but we were overruled. Like, that stuff's going to come out more and more. You're going to see more of the behind the scenes, and this is going to, they can drag this through court for years, potentially, depending on how much money's at risk here. This is horrifying if you're at the head of the company when this happens. This could be the end of your company, potentially, if there's enough damages that go back here. I'm not saying it will be, but yeah, this isn't good. So I spoke to our common pal, who's a CG whiz we know about, also knows a little about game development, who gave me more of the insider info about what was happening with this game after he played it, and said, I'm actually impressed with some of the graphics and some are garbage. He said he literally went through the game and can tell, okay, they spent time on this and they rushed these parts of the game. So he said the issue with the game was this, is that all the lighting is done in real time in this game, even on the PS4 and on the Xbox One. So that's bad, because that requires a huge amount of horsepower.
Right.
But it's also bad because one is inefficient. They had real-time lighting in place in parts of the game where you didn't need it because the lighting wouldn't change. So, like, for example, you walk into a room like this or an office building, the light's always going to be in one angle, right? You don't need it to be in real time. It's not going to change.
No, you can bake
code
that
it
in.
It's always going to be just like that. He said there was none of that in Cyberpunk at all. They didn't think about that. So at the base level, the game is broken. In the base coding...
So it's just not running efficiently.
It's a mess. Like, at the base level, this might be unfixable. Because at the base code, according to him, he's like, at the base, the whole game was running in real-time lighting. And they probably at some point realized they couldn't do it. They had to almost probably wait for the next gen to actually do it, because they realized, oh no, we can't do this even on PS4.
Sure.
At that point, they were locked into it, and it just spiraled out of control. He said that Red Dead 2 by Rockstar looks better for a lot of the parts of the game than Cyberpunk to him. because Rockstar worked within the limitations of what they can do and design the art around those limitations. Sure. Cyberpunk, there was no efficiency on the assets. They probably farmed them out all over the place, and they didn't lock down. These are the limitations we have in place for our art design and for the lighting. Let's work around this and design our elements of art around that. And they didn't. They just said, fuck it. It was the most inefficient coding ever and design. That's basically what happened. That's the long and the short of it here. Mismanagement. And not having two different versions of the game. Remember, the PS5 version is basically just running the PS4 version, but with better hardware.
Well, there is no PS5 version yet.
That's what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
When you say I have the PS5 version, you're running the same version
on better
with
hardware, which is
hardware.
what I don't even want to get into it again, but that's what consoles are supposed to avoid. Yes.
Yes, so it really is a PC game at that point. Right. But at the base level, a PC game would still run, but it'll just look a lot worse. But it should run in theory, and at this point, it's crapping out, and assets aren't even showing up. I can run Cyberpunk on this PC or on this laptop, and it'll run. Maybe the assets will look like PS3, but it'll run. This doesn't even give you that option. So they didn't even go back and say, you know what? Let's have a PS4 version. Maybe it doesn't have real lighting all over the place. Maybe it only has it in a couple spots. Or maybe we get rid of the real-time lighting so it actually fucking functions. They didn't think that far. They were locked in, probably stuck at that point. So when they come in and say, yeah, we're going to patch this the best we can, but it won't look as good as a PC, they mean it. It will never, but hopefully at least functions.
Right.
This is a disaster of I don't know. Talk about documentary or books being written about failures like Quibi. This is going to be up there potentially if they don't get this game turned around.
Right. I agree.